Thursday, May the 9th, 2024. Back down in Kent this week to undertake a bit of hill walking. Making a change from last week, really. Back at Chilham, which I've been to a couple of times in the last year. But today I'm doing a variation on it, probably around 10 miles, that combines two walks from the Saturday Walkers collection. Initially starting with swcwalks138, the Chilham circular, but then at Soul Street, the lunchtime pub area, I shall be diverging onto a different walk, take me back to Wye. So that's the variation today, Chilham to Wye, which is the station down the line here. Now unfortunately there's overtime bans this week, and to compound that, the train broke down, or a train broke down en route. So my high speed journey was not very high speed, because I'm about 25 minutes behind at the moment, it now being 12:30, and I think that was the case last time I was down here. So you pay an extra £9, 25% approximately above the slow train or slower train from London Bridge, and you get here at approximately the same time anyway. It's absolutely shocking. The high speed train is the only train service that I know of in this country that seems to work as it should. But you shouldn't have to pay a 25% supplement for that privilege. The level of service offered by the high speed one should be the service on all the other lines. And what is more, while I'm whinging about train fares, all off-peak fares since March have gone up 15%. So although season tickets and commuter fares, which are regulated, are 4.9% higher, off-peak fares, which aren't regulated, are 15% higher. And you try and find a super off-peak, which is a regulated fare, you just can't find them. So I'm going to take this up with Travel Watch, because fares in this country are a ridiculous joke now. Really are. Anyway, let's get on with the walk. Cracking weather. I don't think I'd have had a problem finding a walk anywhere in the country today, in the southeast, for a change. Plenty of bird song already at this station. So as I say, around 10 miles to do, 12:30. I'll try and hold out for lunch at the church at Crundale again, which has featured on previous walks. But my stomach may well determine that, because that's 5 miles hence, i.e. approx 2.5 hours, taking us up to 3 o'clock, which is some distance from my breakfast. Let's see how we go. Very close to the station, I've just noticed this tea room is open, which could be useful for those doing the Chilham circular. It's next to Bagham Farmhouse Bed and Breakfast here, but that could be, as I say, handy for those completing a walk rather than just starting it as I am, obviously. Cross the railway line at Chilham Mill level crossing. Crossing over the Great Stour, and then ahead of me, approaching the mill. And as you can see there, we're on the Stour Valley Walk. The mill from the rear, a nice residence clearly. Everything looks nice in the sun, doesn't it? Cuckoo terrain. Let's see if we hear one today, possibly. And talking of birds, I would add that I saw my first swifts of the season this morning on the way to the station. So summer's now definitely here in my book. And unusually, I can hear house martins up there as well. So that's a full set now. House martins being the rarest of the lot, I think, for some reason. Looking back at Chilham Church, I presume, and I noticed on last week's recording, when I was zooming in on the Chinese water deer, that there was some pixelation. So it may be time to renew my card, I'm not sure. Let's see how this pans out today. Chilham over there on my right. God rest his soul, one of the fallen again, filmed on a previous walk. Flight Lieutenant George Stoney, Hurricane 2549. Yeah, that's right, take the path to the right now for Cather's Seat. And as I suspected, as well as the chiff chaff in the background, I've just heard a second cuckoo of the season somewhere over there. You may just be able to hear that. Wonderful harbinger. So now we're out in the open, I'm immediately opposite Cara's Seat. Another round of cuckooing. Cracking view. In fact, it's Cather's Seat. Use a search engine to learn more about that if you wish. Got the ruins of Chilham Castle over there, I do believe. And that wonderful cuckoo's certainly going for it. This left turn in here. Stile at the top. First of the day. Yeah, I remember this. Last time I did this section a few months ago, it was an absolute quagmire. And there were sheep in the way. Nothing today, mind. Field is empty. Yeah. Just as well I'm going the opposite direction presently. Because they're over there. Thankfully. Note the spelling of calves. Decent vista from point 17 in the text, which I am utilising at the moment. GPX track will be this afternoon. First oast of the day. Further great views. Black cap in the background, I do believe. Take a left here, having just come through the kissing gate, which you can just about get through with a day sack on your back. Taking the right deviant here through some wild yew wood, which I do recall. Very welcome, this section of walking. About 21 degrees outside, so yeah, nice and cooling in here. Emerging back out into the open with a buzzard floating around over there somewhere. Looking down over Woodsdale Farm on the map there. Point 24 of the text, broken style here, very dodgy. Several trees down on this section as well. I would report it on what 3 words, but Kent County Council don't have an email address, very helpfully, so I can't share. So we then enter a field with a couple of ponies in it and a swallow, I heard, on that telegraph pole. Yeah, summer's definitely here now. Sadly, the bluebells are on their last legs now. Another season passes. Yeah, and the rubbish is still around though. That doesn't seem to pass. Pleasant section of beach walking here. Great tit in the background. Point 30 of the text here, and as you can see, still plenty of water lying around. Join this little country lane. And in fact, this quiet country lane is actually quite busy. Half a dozen cars have passed me in 300 yards already. So opposite this car park on my left, we take this byway on my right. So at this time of year, you need to be wary of vehicles. Take the left fork here at this juncture. An indication here of what this path can be like in the winter. Biplane going over ahead. I remember this clearance from the previous time I walked it. The last time I actually properly walked the whole walk was in 2010 again. So 14 years on, though I have done bits of it and a country walking variant as well, including Godmersham much more recently. Another tree down. The problem is when you report W3W, what 3 words, images to the ramblers in Kent as well, who you'd expect to ping them on to Kent County Council via their footpath secretaries. They don't do that. On the limb walk a couple of weeks ago, I reported that slippery path to them, and Robert Peel, the secretary there, or chairman I think he is, just gave me a link to report it to Kent County Council. So either they're short of footpath secretaries, or the footpath secretaries are not doing their job, because I've seen a lot of damage today that hasn't been reported clearly. Yeah, it's interesting. I never see many deer down in Kent. Odd that. Maybe there's so many little pockets of woodland that they can hide more easily. Okay, what used to be the compasses has now been renamed, and here's the opening times of the new hostelry. So it is once again open and is now known as the Timber Bats, but with quite a restricted opening hours. There's the former pub sign. Okay, this is the Timber Bats, formerly of Bodsham. The pub in Bodsham apparently has closed now. Right, slightly waylaid at the moment because I met up with a fellow rambler who was trying to get into the former compasses but couldn't. So I've just been having a chat with him about walking in Kent. Very interesting. Member of the Ramblers. Leading to doing a recce for a walk coming up shortly. 10 miler, Godmersham. Now this is the view you get from the pew mentioned in the text, but I'm carrying on to the church, and after that little delay it looks like it will be 3 o'clock now, because it's 2:30 now. So there's a possible picnic site. But my journey continues on past that seat, down this lane to Crundale Church. So here we are, descending down Penny Pot Lane, apparently. I mean, that seat, the reason I say descending is because that seat I was at just a few minutes ago was about 500 foot up. So one of the high points of today's walk. Now compare this lane to where I was last week in Cambridgeshire. Manny, and look at the cow parsley on the verges, all the flowers not touched at all, and it's an equally quiet lane, very variable, and this is doing no harm to any passing cars, most of which are SUVs in the countryside anyway. They've got the height. Just don't understand the mentality of these people running our councils. So here we are, 10 to 3, back at St Mary's, Crundale, which regulars will note I've been to several times in the last 12 months. Well, at least once anyway. Interesting Latin inscription on the gate here. As usual, a great number gave their lives in the Great War, and there aren't any names for the Second World War. Yes, there are, as usual, because of the loss of men. Only 3 boys or young men in the Second World War. What a loss of life, eh? God rest their souls. Here we are once again. Very pleasant location for lunch, this. Yeah. Thanks, Anne. 3:30, lunch has been had. Around 5 miles into the walk here, so perfect timing, halfway, I hope. Let's see if the church is open. Usually it isn't. Well, amazingly it is. And on the right there's a little kitchenette and toilet, amazingly. Still looks like it's used as well. I'll sign the book on the way out, as I normally do. Quite amazing how it survived all these years. Yep, the big wigs. So I'm not sure how this camera works internally here, because it hasn't got a flash like the other one, or a light, but it does pretty well. And looking back whence I've come, and that's it really. Simple little place. Wonderful. Very musty and damp smelling mind. No organ. Tell a lie, there it is, amongst the pews. Yeah, that's interesting, that gate was open last time I was here. Sherlocks of Oakwood. Anyway, get a decent vista from the gate. Just opposite the church at the moment. Decent views down the valley, opposite the church again. And I took a path down this hill last time. But we're going down this direction today. As you can see, there's a seat outside the church here as well for a cracking vista. And I've just noticed this hanging in the tree, and Jesus, that's a hornet in there. The size of it. Wouldn't want to catch that on an angry, in an angry mood. Jesus. Fighting going on in there as well. Some angry wasps. My God. Vesper catch. Interesting. About 390 foot up here as I look back down the valley again. Obviously the one problem I have doing the walk the way I'm doing it is that I'm now walking into the sun. I've put the sun ring on this camera. Doesn't make a great deal of difference by the looks of it, but let's see. Following this track that I've been on previously on the Wye Circular. I'm now on the GPX track for the Wye Circular. Can't remember the walk number off the top of my head, but it's the Wye Circular GPX track henceforth. via Crundale now, so the path is impassable here. Very good for the house martins and swallows, mind you, building their nests. Luckily there seems to be a bit of a possible diversion up on the bank. Yeah, white throat in the distance. Cows with calves, luckily on the other side of the fence. That breed seemed quite docile, mind. It's not too far from here actually, in Blean Woods, where those bison are proposed, if they're not already out there. I mentioned that a few walks back. I don't think it's a good idea myself. Kent Wildlife Trust. Wonderful afternoon. Just goes to show, even though we've had a few dry days, the water table is so high, still plenty of pockets of water lying around, and I think any walk involving the Weald and marshy areas is probably similar at the minute. Give that another month I think before I get down in those areas, much as I like them. Chaffinch. Wonderful. Peaceful. Little cluster of wild garlic. Ransoms. Not much of a hum though, because I think it's turning over. And as you can see there, many former redundant ponds have suddenly, this season, over the winter, reappeared. So much rainfall have we had. Decent views through breaks in the hedge on my right as I descend. It's perfect walking weather at the minute. It's about 19 degrees. Hardly any breeze today. Wonderful. Cowslips everywhere on my left. Passing past Coombe Manor on the map. So I'm doing this section of walk in reverse to what I did it recently, or the last time, I think it was last year. Go up that lane thereafter. And there's a pied wagtail that I saw last week but couldn't recognise straight away. And here it's in its more customary terrain. So at this point, by this concrete marker and a yellow finger post over there, we take a right, and I can hear a greater spotted woodpecker in there somewhere, drumming on a tree. Looking back towards Coombe Manor. This barley on my right is doing well. It's about 1 metre high. Another month that'll be ready, I should think. Amazing how the year whizzes by. Plenty of ransoms here as well. And another strange insect trap, I believe. An absolute forest of it. Amazing. And this time I can smell it. Wonderful. And that was Collier's Hill Wood on the map. Now crossing over this spring sown cereal to join the North Downs Way, I believe. Take a right here on the North Downs Way, and this is the vista from a point near Crundale, the Crown. Unfortunately it's a bit misty, hazy. Yeah, not sure why. Probably the warmth of the sun hitting the dampness of the ground, I suppose. Would have been a decent vista otherwise. Not sure if I mentioned it, 610 foot here, so definitely one of the high spots of the walk today. 564 feet here at the memorial, Crown Memorial. Floriat Wye. And I think of all the times I've been up here, this is probably the stillest and the best weather that I've ever had, because it's usually very breezy up here. Maybe that lack of breeze is why there's some mist around as well. There is a bit of a breeze, but nothing like what there can be. Looks like the hay's been cut there. I think it's hay. I wouldn't know if it was silage, mind. But I think it's hay. Swallows flying over it. Freshly cut, attracts the flies. Downs Way goes off to the right there. Our onward journeys through this kissing gate into woodland. And once again there's lots of trees down in this woodland. So either they're not getting reported or Kent aren't fixing them. And that woodland was known as the junipers. Now back on the North Downs Way now, heading into the sun. Now, if I remember correctly, this is the organic farm that I'm now walking beside, with a nice backdrop there of the North Downs. That's it, Ripple Farm Organics, Soil Association Organic. And up there in the distance is the Crown. Chaffinch behind me, warning note. And it looks like we're on a permissive path, the Wibbly Way.
Total distance 9 miles. Total time 4 hours 3 minutes.
At this juncture, don't take the North Downs Way, which is a higher path there, but we're taking this other one. Careful not to miss this little path on the left, which takes you past Wye Church. That's the journey I've just made. So there we go, Wye Church, Forget the name, but we'll soon find out. From the front, the parish church of St Gregory and St Martin. Doing a right now, opposite this interesting church, Wye Methodist Church. Passing the Tickled Trout, which is the recommended tea time stop. You can see Wye now, next to the river, lovely garden. Yeah, decent enough place. So here we are back at Wye, almost 10 miles on the button, just over 4 hours at 4 hours 20. Lost a bit of time at the pub having a chat, but no worries. It's not a race, particularly on a lovely day like today. Look at that. Not a cloud in the sky now. Beautiful. That was another great walk. Glad I did the variation that I did, because the walk author seems to think the route via Godmersham is better, but I'd question that myself. The version I've done today, as you can see, is very nice, particularly on a hot day, because a lot of it is wooded. A little bit of water underfoot in places, but it's easy to bypass it, and that'll be gone before we know what's going on, and there'll be drought warnings out. You watch. Absolute shocking country this is, and I don't know what the answer is. Blow the place up and start again, I think. Well, not the place, but the people running it, that's a problem. Because in pockets, as these videos show, it is very picturesque, with a little bit of wildlife left, but not much. Yeah, it's worrying. Anyway, that combo, numbers of which I forget, I know 138 was the beginning, but still can't remember this Y circular number, but it'll be on the title. Highly recommended. Till the next time, take care.